Everyone is talking about NDIS cuts right now. And if you are angry about that, I get it. The changes are real and they are significant. But there is something else happening that most providers are not across yet. And when you understand it fully, it is going to matter more to some of you than anything else in this reform. It is called foundational supports, not a reform proposal, not a discussion paper, an agreement signed on the 2nd of February 2026 by the Commonwealth Government and every single state and territory government in Australia. 9 governments, one agreement, $10 billion over 5 years. That happened quietly while the sector was focused on everything else. And I'm not going to tell you it's good news. For some of you watching this, it is a direct threat to your business model. I would rather you hear it from me clearly now than find out in 2027 when your referral pipeline starts drying up. Here is the reality that is not being said plainly enough. If you are a private allied health provider, a speech pathologist, an occupational therapist, an early intervention specialist, and the majority of your clients are children under 8 on the NDIS, you are sitting in the middle of a significant structural risk because from the 1st of January 2028, new children in that cohort will not enter the NDIS at all. They will be redirected into a separate government-run system called Thriving Kids. Your referral pathway does not follow them there. And right now, most states are designing that system to be delivered by government agencies and not-for-profit organizations only. So this is not just a policy change. For some businesses, this is a question about where your clients come from in 3 years. I want to explain what this is, who it affects, and what the honest picture looks like for providers right now, because you cannot make a good decision about your business without understanding what you are actually dealing with. To understand foundational supports, you need to understand the problem they are designed to solve. The NDIS was always designed for people with the highest support needs. It was meant to sit within a broader system of disability support, one where people with lower level or emerging needs could still get help without needing a full NDIS plan. That broader system largely didn't exist, or if it did, it was fragmented, underfunded, and hard to find. What happened next was predictable. People with lower level needs tried to access the NDIS because there was nowhere else to go. The scheme grew far beyond its original projections, and the resources available for people with the highest needs became diluted by the volume of participants whose needs were real but lower in intensity. Foundational supports are the government's structural response to that problem. Redirect lower needs people into it. Protect the NDIS for the people it was designed for. That is the intent. And it matters for how you understand everything that follows. There are 2 types of foundational supports. General foundational supports are for all people with disability, whether or not they have an NDIS plan. They cover information and advice about disability and available supports, peer support, and connection with others who have similar experiences, self-advocacy, resources, individual and family capacity building, and disability employment supports. These are not crisis services. They are the kind of ongoing accessible support that helps people navigate their lives with disability without needing an intensive individual funding package. Targeted foundational supports are specifically for people under 65 who are not eligible for the NDIS. They cover practical home and community supports like help with shopping and cleaning, aids and equipment for people with lower intensity needs, capacity building for adults with psychosocial disability, and transition supports for young people moving towards employment. These are the supports that should have existed alongside the NDIS from the beginning. Thriving Kids is phase 1 of foundational supports, and it is the part that is actively happening right now. Thriving Kids covers children aged 8 and under with developmental delay or autism who have low to moderate support needs. Federal investment of $2 billion matched by the states. Services begin rolling out from the 1st of October 2026, with the full scale expected from the 1st of January 2028. That timeline is deliberate. From the 1st of January 2028, New children with low to moderate needs will no longer access the NDIS. They will be redirected to Thriving Kids instead. The government has designed the program to be operational before the NDIS door closes for that cohort. If you are a participant or family member with a child currently on the NDIS with low to moderate needs, here is what that means for you. Children already enrolled in the NDIS prior to the 1st of January 2028 with these needs will be subject to reassessment under the eligibility criteria in place before that date. Your child's existing NDIS plan is not immediately affected, and Thriving Kids is backed by a substantial investment in allied health therapies and early intervention in local community settings, designed to be easier to access and faster to deliver than the NDIS pathway. From 2028, new children with low to moderate needs will not enter the NDIS. The Thriving Kids services are delivered through state government systems, not through the NDIA. That means different referral pathways, different provider types, and potentially different levels of family choice and control compared to what you have experienced in the NDIS. If your child is currently on the NDIS and you are uncertain about how these changes apply to your situation, speak with your support coordinator, your LAC, or an advocacy organisation in your area. They are the right people to help you understand what this means for your individual plan. If you are a provider, I need to be honest with you about something the sector is not saying clearly enough. Thriving Kids is a new market. The government investment is real. The demand will be real. But right now, as of this week, this market is not open to most of the providers watching this video. And here is why that matters. Thriving Kids is not commissioned through the NDIS. It is not an NDIS service. There is no NDIS registration pathway to it. Each state government runs its own procurement process through its own department with its own rules about who can deliver services. And most states have structured their delivery models around two types of organizations: government agencies first, then non-government organizations, which means registered charities, incorporated associations, and non-for-profits. The kind of organizations that sit outside government, but also do not exist to make a profit for owners or shareholders. If you are running a registered company, a private allied health practice, a for-profit disability business of any kind, you are not in either of those categories. And in most states, there is currently no open door for you. Let me walk you through where each state actually sits, because the picture is specific and it changes what your next move should be. New South Wales is the most progressed state. The Department of Community Justice has formally opened an expression of interest, but read the eligibility before you spend time on it. Delivery model partners New South Wales government agencies with NGOs. Private providers are flagged as potentially included. And I want to say potentially carefully, where government and NGO capacity cannot meet demand. The allied health sector is pushing back hard on this. Occupational therapists, speech pathologists, and early intervention providers are actively advocating for private inclusion. But as of right now, if you are a for-profit business, that expression of interest was not designed for you. South Australia has confirmed a government hub delivery model. Services will follow through South Australian health hubs at specific locations and through Kudos services as the referral gateway. There is no open tender process for non-government providers. No expression of interest, no open tender, nothing to apply for right now. If you are an allied health or early intervention provider in South Australia, your best move is to contact the South Australian health hubs and Kudos services directly to position for potential subcontracted or referral pathways when they develop. The ACT has committed its funding, $63.4 million over 5 years. The implementation plan is being finalised, but the ACT government has been explicit that the first phase will be government delivered, with non-government providers added over time. Time is not defined. For-profit providers are not mentioned. Western Australia ran a market sounding survey for sector organisations in April and May 2026. Targeted consultations with NGOs, not the broader provider market are running through May and June to inform service design. This is the design phase, not the procurement phase. No application process is open. Watch the Department of Communities website for updates. The Tasmanian government has commenced consultation and engagement sessions on the proposed approach, led by the Department of Premier and Cabinet alongside newest group consultants. A two-stage procurement process is expected to follow. Expression of interest first and then tender. But the process has not opened yet. And based on the pattern emerging everywhere else, the expectation is government and NGO delivery first. Victoria has committed $2.4 billion over 5 years as part of the national agreement. As of this week, Victoria has not yet finalised its bilateral agreement with the Commonwealth. There is no delivery model confirmed, no procurement open, no consultation for providers. Monitor the Victorian Government's disability and communities pages and watch for the bilateral agreement to be published. That will trigger the next phase. Queensland is yet to finalise its bilateral agreement with the Commonwealth. There is no procurement, no consultation for providers, and no timeline confirmed. This is the least progressed of the major states. Monitor the Queensland Government's Communities Department for updates. The Northern Territory is a party to the National Heads of Agreement, but no specific procurement, consultation, or provider engagement information has been published. Watch the Northern Territory Government's Department of Territory, Families, Housing and Communities for updates. So the honest summary is this: no state in Australia currently has open tender processes that a for-profit business can apply for. One state, New South Wales, has an active expression of interest, but that expression of interest is structured for NGOs and government agencies. Every other state is either in the design phase, the consultation phase, or has not yet signed a bilateral agreement. This is not a reason to dismiss thriving kids as an opportunity. It is a reason to understand what kind of opportunity it actually is and what your position in it is likely to be. The government has committed to a significant volume of services for children across the country. The NGO sector does not have the workforce to deliver all of it. That gap between what has been promised and what the NGO workforce can actually provide is where the pressure for private provider inclusion is building. The OTA, NDIS, and open peak bodies are actively advocating on this, and governments are hearing it. That does not mean the door will open immediately, but it does mean that for-profit providers who are visible, engaged, and positioned correctly when the door opens will move faster than providers who are not paying attention. There are 3 things worth doing now, even without an open tender. The first is to understand your state's process and get on the right notification lists. Go to your state or territory government's disability or communities department website. Search Thriving Kids. Find out what stage your state is at. Get on the mailing list or email the relevant department to register your interest in provider engagement when it opens. The second is to understand the NGO landscape in your area. In most states, for-profit providers are most likely to enter this market through subcontracted relationships with NGOs who hold the government contract. If you can identify the NGOs in your region who are likely to win Thriving Kids contracts, building a relationship with them now puts you in a stronger position when they need delivery capacity they cannot staff internally. The third is to engage in consultations when they open in your state. Tasmania and Western Australia are both running community and sector consultations right now. Victoria and Queensland will follow. These consultations are how the service model gets designed. If for-profit and allied health providers are not in the room making the case for inclusion, the model will be built without them. I want to be direct about what is not yet defined because it matters. The adult tier of foundational supports, the targeted supports for adults under 65 who are not eligible for the NDIS, does not yet have a confirmed implementation date, a confirmed funding model per service type, a confirmed provider pathway, or an active procurement process. What exists is the signed national agreement committing $10 billion over 5 years, and a government commitment to release a foundational supports strategy that will define what the adult market looks like. That strategy has not been published yet. When it is released, it will be the document that tells providers what services will exist, how they will be funded, and who can deliver them, and how to enter the market. That is the document to watch for. For now, the adult tier is a real commitment with an undefined implementation pathway. So monitor, engage in consultations when they open, read the strategy when it's published, and hit subscribe so you see it here when it drops. I want to close the loop on why foundational supports matter beyond the immediate program details. Every major change in the current NDIS reform, tighter eligibility, the removal of diagnosis lists, the 6-lens reasonable and necessary test, the parental responsibility presumption. All of those changes mean more people will either not enter the NDIS or will exit it over time. Foundational supports are the other side of that equation. They are being built because the government cannot responsibly tighten the NDIS without building a genuine alternative for the people who will not meet the new threshold. For participants and families, understanding foundational supports is part of understanding what your options look like if your needs or your child's needs change over time. Your support coordinator, your LAC, or an advocacy organization can help you work through what that means specifically for your situation. For providers, understanding foundational supports is part of understanding where the sector is heading and where genuine demand will exist outside the NDIS in the years ahead. Both of these things require clarity rather than assumptions, and clarity is what today was for. 3 actions from today. If you are a parent or a family member, if your child has low to moderate support needs and is approaching a plan review, speak with your support coordinator, your LAC, or an advocacy organization about what Thriving Kids means for your situation. They can help you understand the timeline and what your options are before the January 2028 access changes take effect. If you are an NGO operating in New South Wales, this is the only open procurement process in the country right now. Register on New South Wales Supplier Hub and Department of Community Justice's and the Department of Community Justice Procurement Central. Understand what you are eligible to deliver, general supports, targeted supports, or both, and engage with that process before it closes. If you are a for-profit provider anywhere in Australia, there is no open application for you right now. That is the honest answer. What you can do is get on notification lists in your state. Identify the NGOs likely to hold contracts in your area. Engage in consultation processes when they open and stay informed. The door is not open yet, but it will be. And the providers who are already positioned when it opens will move faster than the ones who are still trying to understand the model at that point. For everyone, watch for the foundational supports strategy when it is published. That document defines the adult market, and hit subscribe here. As each piece of this rolls out, I will break it down. Foundational supports are not a future concept. They are a signed agreement, a commitment investment, and an active procurement process currently open only to government agencies and NGOs in New South Wales. The adult tier is still being designed. The children's tier is live. Whether you are a family navigating what this means for your child or a provider working out where you actually fit in this new market, the picture is clearer than it was a year ago. $10 billion has been committed to building the system that was supposed to exist alongside the NDIS from the beginning. That is worth understanding properly. Hit subscribe if you want to stay across this as the state programs develop and the foundational support strategy is released. Tell me what this raised for you. I read every one because you deserve information you can actually use.